So it is, gentlemen, that we start with a different song at the beginning of the show. One that I prefer not to play all season, but it's appropriate to be playing this.
We're a happy team at Hawthorn. We're the mighty fighting horse. We love our club and we play to win. Riding the bumps with a grin at Hawthorn. Come what may, you'll find us riding. Teamwork is the thing that talks. One for all and all for one's the way we play at Hawthorn. We are the mighty fighting horse.
How enjoyable was that? Can you get sick of hearing that, Bards?
Never, Grant, never.
Wedders, can you get sick of seeing that jumper that Bards is wearing?
Yes, you can. It looks like vomit.
Brown and gold vomit. It's good vomit.
Good to your word, though, Bards. I'll give you that. You said you'd wear one of those if we won.
Well, we're going to change it up a little bit after a bit of think time, sitting in our seats for a prolonged period. And today we are going to do the ultimate review. Not a preview, Bards, but a review. Let's start with pre-match entertainment. Or let's talk about Nanny State. Like to give your thoughts about Nanny State at the MCG?
Well, there was one complete and utter wanker of a crowd controller who decided that of all of the bays in the MCG where everybody was standing because it was pre-match entertainment, it was 30 degrees and it was the only way you could get some air circulating, he decided to pick on our bay, our humble little bay behind the goals at the Putt Road end, and tell us all to sit down. And when I quizzed him on it, it was because he has to start somewhere. His plan was to literally go around the entire MCG and tell every single person to sit down.
The irony was, where you walked out to the end of the bay to talk to him, and he told you to go back and sit down, you and 6 other people that were standing up, if he had have turned to his right, there was about 50 West Coast supporters standing right next to him, who he didn't speak to.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Buzz, I said to Wedders, talking to West Coast Eagles supporters, so we should say to people that we're lucky enough to be in M5, Bay M5. And I said to Wedders, get worried about the conduct of these people. And it came to the third quarter, Wedders said, I don't know what you're talking about, Housey. They're nice people. They don't say a word.
I wanted to get the "it's all gone quiet over there" chant going, but I thought better of it.
Did you notice they slipped out by the end of the game?
Yeah, there's a few going, but to give them credit, most of them stayed to the end.
All right. Do you realise that Mrs. Wedders, the most exciting thing at pre-match entertainment was the plane going over?
$300 that cost me.
All right, well, we better get into the first quarter. And on the board, West Coast Eagles scored first. Did that concern you at all, Bards?
No, mate. It's the way it is. Early scores don't mean a lot as long as the intent's there, and we were looking pretty solid.
And Wedders kicking straight helps any team. 5 goals, I think it was, in the first quarter versus 1 something or other. Was that it by the end of the first quarter?
I thought that provided we started well, that the Eagles were going to find it very difficult to get back into the game. They weren't getting enough of the pill as it was, and they were butchering whatever opportunities they were getting. So I thought they were in real trouble early, the Eagles. I actually wasn't concerned at all after about halfway through the first quarter.
So, Buzz, what were the scores at the end of the first quarter?
We were 5 straight, 30 to 1-5-11. So they had the extra scoring shot, but to be honest, mate, we pretty much dominated the quarter. It's not like their 1-5 are all set shots points either. I think 3 were rushed and 1 might have been a set shot and 1 was a miss. So, yeah, it wasn't too bad, and I thought we were going pretty well.
Now, second quarter was an interesting one. I'll put it out there that the last 10 minutes, it looked like the West Coast Eagles were getting back in the game. And, I said this to Adam, and he told me to shut up. We had it in the bag, and he was probably right at the end of the day. But they did look like coming back in it. But forget that. I mean, how magical was the first 20 minutes? Hodgie's goal?
Yeah, Hodgie's goal, Smith's goal. Gunston got a couple as well. They were all over him early, and once we did that, the game probably was ours to lose after that. But yeah, the last 10 minutes, they probably had the better of the play. Snuck a couple of goals late. Yeah, half-time, I was still pretty confident, but there was always that lingering doubt.
And where does Rioli, I think he proved his value in getting the Norm Smith medal with that chase down in that quarter, didn't he?
He did. He was the guy that set up the game early, really. You know, we had winners all over the ground, but Rioli put both scoreboard pressure on and also pressure on every West Coast defender that was in the vicinity. But then, to be fair, there weren't a whole lot of West Coast defenders in the vicinity because Rioli was allowed to run around and do as he pleased, more or less. I've never seen a bloke given so much space in the forward 50 ever in a game of football.
This whole web thing, zone, whatever it is, it might be all well and good on a skinny ground like Subiaco, but get on the MCG, and they stood in their spots and stayed with them and let blokes run past them into holes, and we kicked it into the holes, and time again got it to a loose bloke who kicked the goal, or got it to someone else who kicked the goal. So, yeah, I think the plan B was necessary from Timo, and he didn't bring one.
So where does scores then at half-time as they went inside and the players that weren't playing in the final came out to do the traditional sprint?
I have no idea what the scores were at half-time because that's Bard's job.
And even Bards.
9-3-57 to 3-8-26.
Whereas it was you in the pre-match discussion that said we needed to toss this around a bit. Be prepared.
What kind of show are you running here?
So we're into the third quarter, and the highlight for me was Smith when he kicked that goal, and then the audacity of the West Coast Eagles supporter to put out the high five. Great goal.
They're classier types than the Freo supporters when Smith's involved on the fence, aren't they?
To be fair, the Eagles supporter had a smile on his face, so I thought the Eagles fans were pretty good. They enjoyed the day. I think they knew pretty early that the jig was up.
And the Falcon with Darling, that was a classic.
Crapped himself, really.
Big moment, though. He takes that mark, probably kicks a goal, and they're 19 points down. Fumbles it 3 times, and we run it to the other end for a goal, and we're 35 points up, and the game was iced.
Isn't the reality, as we talk about it at that point in time, you go back and you look at West Coast Eagles, and to be honest, they were a bit of pretenders because they got the second spot by playing no one during the course of the year and playing nobody at home, and we just didn't prepare well in the qualifying final. Gave us a wake-up call, and it was Davis and Goliath. It was brutal, wasn't it, by this stage?
Something I saw the other day that really showed it. Basically, us being able to get out by ourselves versus their contested possession. And at half-time, we'd taken 12 more marks and had 11 more contested possession. So we were winning our strength and theirs, and I think that's where the game was lost, or won in our case.
So Bards, it's three-quarter time. Wedders has got really friendly with the blokes behind him and the blokes in front of him by this stage. It's all hugs and kisses. And what was the score?
14-5-89 to 5-9-39. So 50 points up at three-quarter time, and it was just a matter of how much we were going to win by to enjoy the last quarter.
And aren't you glad we didn't kick that in accurately for the rest of the game? 6 points towards the end, we could have been another 6 goals in front.
I thought we'd win by 82 points, so I'd have been a lot closer than I was. Just amazing, though, again, Sam Mitchell, another bloke, just ran around, did his own thing. Nobody really cared. Nobody paid any attention to him. You know, every single football media person in this country for the past month has been talking about whether or not you tag Sam Mitchell, and the consensus has been somebody's got to do something to stop him. And another year goes by, another premiership gets won, and nobody's laid a finger on Sam.
They'd never seen the previous grand finals when he's been tagged and struggled. Maybe that was an idea. The excuse is that if they tag someone, it pulls someone out of their web and creates holes. Well, there was more holes in that web than you'll see anyway, so I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah, there was a line of silk. It wasn't really a web. The mind boggles. As a Hawthorn supporter, you don't complain about these things, but, you know, Sam Mitchell's been left for years now to run around and do his own thing. You would think somebody would cotton on to the fact that it should not be allowed to happen.
Well, final scores.
16-11, 107 to 8-13, 61. We actually lost the last quarter which cost us a spot in a few record books for quarters one for a year, apparently, but we don't really care because all we deal in is premierships. It's what we do, and we did it again.
Goal kickers, it was good that Gunston was back because he kicked 4.
That's it, mate. And we had the magical number once again with 10. And as I say, if we get 10, we don't lose. And because it's the grand final, I'm going to name them. Gunston 4, Smith 3, Rioli 2, singles to Hodge, Birchall, Suckling, Hill, Ruffhead, McAvoy, and the man that we've failed to mention so far, Ryan Schoenmakers.
Well, let's not forget about Shoei because he went from 0 to hero by the end of that game, didn't he?
I can't believe a bloke who, especially on social media, has copped an absolute pasting for 5 years, was a cult hero on the day, biggest Raw, bigger than Cyril when he got his medal. Unbelievable, but well-deserved because he played a ripper game. Benefited from West Coast's refusal to pick up anyone inside 50 for the whole game, but you know, we were worried we were going to lose run without Hawthorn. Well, the running Schoenmakers did was equal. He covered a lot of ground and provided options time and time again.
And where the Sydney Swans are already into him.
Seems to be. It seems to be the way that he's got some currency now. I'll put my hand up as being one Hawthorn supporter who had been a little critical of Shoei over the last few years. Quite apparent now that he was recruited as a forward. Well, not that it was apparent now. It was been spoken about all along, and he's been sent back because we didn't have coverage there. The Swans are into Schoenmakers. My feel is that if he didn't go to Adelaide at the end of last season, he won't be leaving at the end of this season. And the 10 goal kickers is very interesting because really should have been 9 boys, as we all know.
Probably should have been 10 still because Fiopolo, I don't know why you'd be passing off to Stratton when you're 25 metres out directly in front. And then at least Stratton should have kicked it. So, yeah, Ruffy shouldn't have been on the sheet. One of those two should have.
Ruffy's a thief.
At least he admitted that he had to kick a goal. That's why he did it. He's an honest thief.
I sent his old man a text about that, and his old man said very much the same.
Everyone's a winner, baby, that's the truth. It's the truth. You is such a thrill. Everyone's a winner, baby, that's no lie. Let's go lie. You never fail to satisfy.
So talking about Ruffy, we might as well talk about post-match because when you go home and you get the chance to watch the replay as we did, and no doubt you did, Bards, you pick up on a few nuances during the whole day, but the funniest thing is watching what happens post-game. So, Ruffy, have you seen that one where he's telling Hodgie to smile?
Yeah. I think it's something along the lines of, Hodgie, smile, F ya.
But more funny than that was Brian in the Gatorade van.
I love that. The way the Laps of Honour are done these days, you know, even prior to when they get the trophy and then afterwards, and kids running around and various players climbing fences and making snow angels in glitter and stuff like that. I love it. It's great. You can see them really sort of relaxed. You know, they're going to go in the rooms and get on the beers and do all that, but they really enjoy that time on the ground, and we've been lucky to see plenty of it in the last few years, and I hope to see plenty more of it.
I reckon the people that actually enjoy the most on the ground have got to be the 22 little kids who are trained within an inch of their life to say something, and clearly the Channel 7 coverage know what they're meant to say, and they turn it up to the appropriate point. You know, so there's Gunston, oh, you're my hero, Jack, and Hodgie, good on you, mate, or something like that, and that was fantastic. But then there's always one player that fresh airs one of those little kids. And this year, who was it, Wetters?
You put me on the spot here, who was it?
David Hale.
David Hale, that's right.
Well, he wasn't on his own because I reckon if you ever looked, Poppy did as well.
Yep, no, you're right, Bards. Absolutely did. Now, the other thing that was worthy of mention was that there were 6 players that have played in 4 Hawthorn winning grand finals. So they were Birch, Mitch, Louis, Hodgie, Cyril and Ruffy. And they were having a picture taken that was in yesterday's Herald Sun with the trophy with the 4 fingers up. And what happened, Wetters? Who stuck their noses?
Smart ass Shawnee Burgoyne decided he wanted to get in on the action as well.
He's got 4.
Not with us, he hasn't. Come back next year, Sean.
But then they'll all be off getting their 5.
And they'll have to get Dermot Brereton out and put him in the picture as well.
Yeah, he won't be shy either.
I'm happy for Burgoyne to be in those photos because without Burgoyne there wouldn't have been any 3 in a row.
No, that's fair enough, Bards.
First when it happened.
So we've got a three-peat, and I'll tell you what, you've got to soak this up and love it because who knows what's going to happen. But people are already out there calling the Hawthorn. Have you heard this?
I have heard it. At Waverley the other day at training, in the cafe window, someone was advertising a set of Hawthorn coloured number plates that said Threepeat. They've obviously gone out early, brought them for about $500 worth. Good investment. Looking pretty good now. I logged on today and thought, I wonder if you can get Hawthorn. No, someone's already taken it. Or Thorn, gone.
Well, talking about gone, I think the Bardslow was well and truly gone some time ago, but we better go through the votes anyway.
All right, mate, I had to squeeze blokes in here, so I'm still allocating the 15 votes, but I'm taking a bit of licence with it. 5 to Rioli, 3 to Mitchell, 2 to Frawley, 2 to Smith, 1 to Hodge, Gunston and Burgoyne. Apologies to a whole heap of blokes, and there's probably about 5 or 6 that just had an average game. So, when I say average game, they played well. Great day, really didn't have a loser on the day. Bradley Hill was down a bit, but he still ran hard, just didn't get rewarded. And obviously, Suckers coming off the bench didn't get much chance, but overall, I can't really say anyone played bad.
So, at the end of the day, Mitch won. Rioli, you've just pushed up into second. Hodgie came third. I'll put the list at the end of the show so people can see what the exact votes were. But Sammy Mitchell was well and truly in front some time ago and well-deserved a Bardslow. I'm sure he can't wait to get it in the mail and the invitation to Top Pub for dinner.
We're going to get it done.
Now, nearest to the pin. I spent some time earlier pulling together nearest to the pin, and for the last month, Aaron and Sully have been neck and neck by a vote. And you know what happened to Aaron? He got nowhere near a score. He went low. Sully went at 30-something. He shed a score, and he won by 10 points. So congratulations, Sully. And again, I'll put the top 10 so people have got an idea of how everyone went. But overall, during the course of the year, we actually had about 50 people participate in the comp. So that's not bad, given there's only about 300 of us in the group. Wedders, you impressed with that?
Very impressed. I thought we only had 6 people that listened to us.
No.
How many of those did enough to qualify, Grant?
I think it was about 25.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. So next year, we need to get everyone in early. Now, next year, 2 blokes that won't be there announce their retirement today. Brian Lake and David Hale. Wedders, were you surprised?
No, I wasn't surprised. There was an argument to say that you try and fit Lakey in for another season, given the way he rounded out this one. But when you look at the age of our list and the succession planning that's going to be required to keep us competitive over the next 5 years, I'm not surprised. I think it's a great way to go out. And I think, if we didn't have Frawley and Spanger and probably a guy like Heatherley coming through, Lake would have been seriously considered. But no, 2 terrific players for not only the Hawthorn Football Club, but in the AFL in general.
I think it comes down to, if you've got a bloke like Heatherley, Spanger to a lesser extent because he's been in the side, and even going down to Brand when he comes back from his shoulders, these guys are going to want opportunities. And the idea, you'd like to slot him into a spot when you've still got the backup of Gibbo or Frawley running around next year to give you a hand. And no good, having 3 blokes leave at the same time and throwing 3 kids in at once. You've got to reward some of the loyalty that these blokes have had, and it's time to start stepping them out a couple at a time, I think.
So what's next, Bards? Obviously, it's trade week in a couple of weeks' time and draft after that. But a few names I'll throw at you. Suckling, is he going?
I would have said yes early in the year. I'm not so sure now. I think it'll come down to money for him. You know, he was only sub in the grand final, so if Brisbane or someone was to offer him a good-sized contract, I could see him still wanting to take it. But, you know, he's achieved plenty already. He's got best mates at the club. He's real tight with Brewsty and Smith and the other guys from New South Wales, so it'll be interesting to see what he does.
And Whitecross?
I think if he gets an opportunity somewhere else, he'll probably grab it with both hands. You know, this is a bloke that we talked about being the captain of the club, and his knee injuries have just really killed all the momentum he had. He did play some decent games for Box Hill this year, but I think he's just lost that extra bit of agility, and I don't see him fitting back in.
And who would you trade away for value? I'll put Tim O'Brien on the table.
Take him back off the table. Take him back off the table now.
No, Chem can be elevated in
Put
his
him on the table.
Chem's not going anywhere. Look, Shieldmaker's form obviously helps with that key forward spot, so it probably pushes O'Brien away a little bit more. Key forwards do take time, and got great hands, and he's a good kick. He's still learning the game, though, and O'Brien will be interesting. I imagine they'd be trying to hold on to him for another year, but we'll see what happens.
Sicily?
He should be played from round one next year. Fit him in.
Weathers? Any others?
No, I wouldn't think so. I think what you'll find, and I think we've started to see the actual evolution of the game plan a little bit. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of roughhead in the forward 50 going forward. I think what you'll find now, Shieldmakers presses up into the 50 with Gunston, and you've got Roughhead sort of rotating more through the middle, which means you're going to need guys like O'Brien and Sicily as not only backup, but legitimate options to put pressure on guys already in the team. Look, we've got Daniel Howe coming through, Litherland. They like Tia Miles. I'm just wondering whether a guy like Langford might be somebody that is potentially on the table. I don't know.
I know he can be traded even though he's just extended the contract, but he looks a kid that well and truly wants to be a Hawk, so I can't see him going, but it's going to be interesting, you know. I think they'll go after some young on-ballers, probably chase James Aish, who, if he fulfills his potential as a top player, I don't know what to get up with that. I imagine we could be trading some future draft picks, or we probably still need to hold on to some of them to replace the likes of Mitchell and Hodge in the next couple of years, but yeah, it's put faith in these blokes. They seem to know what they're doing. I imagine they've had a plan for it, and I've said it all along, if we fall in a hole in a couple of years' time and drop down the ladder for a few years, I've got no worries with that at all. I'd take another 10 years at the bottom for what we've just got. So, you know, it wouldn't be selling everyone in panic mode. I reckon if you structure it right, you can build it back up.
I think we've structured this well and truly tonight as a review show. And for me, it's time to go. But in the meantime, we'll enjoy this song once again. So, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.